Alrighty, what up, what up, what up? How's everybody doing this evening? Welcome to Hawks Hoops. Thank you for pulling up to the stream. Always appreciated, of course. Hawks Hoops happens every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You know, you guys throw that out there now because people be asking what time zone, and it's Eastern. Give me half a second. I'm just trying to get some things together on my end. My desk was a little jumbled up and a little out of place. What up, what up? How you doing, man? How you doing? Thank you for pulling up to the stream. Mr. Charlie. All right. There's a lot to talk about on the docket today. A lot. It's a lot to talk about that has happened. And there's still some things to talk about that I would like to see happen that I don't think will happen. Trade deadline, if you don't know, was Thursday. Tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So noon if you in California. That's the only one I know off the top of my head. You got to do the math for your time zone other than that. But 3 p.m. tomorrow Eastern Standard Time, Thursday, February 10th. That's when the trade deadline is. We got a lot of trades to talk about. Not a ton, but some interesting trades happened over the last couple of days leading up to the trade deadline. And I want to break some of these trades down, give my opinions on them real quick. All right. So I'm just gonna hop right in. Serge, what's up, man? Thanks for pulling up to the stream. How you doing tonight? We about to talk about these trades. We about to break down these trades. A lot of trades happened, man. A lot of trades have happened. Like I said, not every trade that I want to see happen. Of course, we're gonna talk about my Sixers and this Ben Simmons mess. I don't even know what trade to start on first. I'm gonna kind of go in some chronological order. I got the trades pulled up here that happened over the last couple of days. Shout out to NBA.com keeping the trade tracker up to date because I ain't gonna hold you. It's hard to keep track of all the trades that's happening. It's not that a lot of trades has happened, but sometimes I'll remember like the big names, the important stuff, but I don't always remember all the other pieces outside of the big names. You know what I mean? Charlie asks, what's the best possible trade that could happen? You talking about for the Sixers? Because I was talking about that. Well, since you asked, I guess I can start with these James Harden, Ben Simmons, Sixers rumors. And then we'll go into some of the actual trades that have happened, hopefully as more people come in. But I'll hop on my soapbox early when it comes to these with the Sixers, if that's what you were asking about. Okay, yeah, you were asking about the Sixers. All right, Charlie. So all day, I follow Adrian Wojnarowski. If you're not familiar who he is, he's ESPN's probably top NBA analyst. I follow him on Twitter. I have tweet notifications on for him, so when he tweets something, I get a notification popped up on my phone. I also follow Shams Charania, I believe. I don't think that's his last name. What's Shams' last name? Yeah, Shams Charania. He works for The Athletic, another publication. He's their top NBA guy. I have both of those guys on Twitter notifications, right? Those guys, for the most part, have been quiet all day. However, ESPN's other NBA guy, Brian Windhorst, had a ton to say today about this whole James Harden, Ben Simmons trade. He said earlier that they were in talks of making a trade happen there. Then it got to one point where I'm hearing that the Nets wanted Matisse, Ben, Maxey, and Andre Drummond. And at that point, I was like, okay, this trade isn't going anywhere because that's just not happening, right? Now, if you were to ask me what my prediction is and what I think is going to happen, do I think a trade is going to happen before the deadline for Ben Simmons to Brooklyn? At this rate, honestly, no. Because while Brian Windhorst was going crazy all day saying all these things, other Nets reporters that cover the Nets locally, even a couple of local Sixers reporters, I saw Keith Pompey chiming in a little bit there, saying that the Sixers and Nets were in talks and that a potential trade was right on the cusp of happening. While all of this is happening, Woj basically goes on. He calls into I can't remember if he called into an ESPN show or like an ESPN radio show, but he basically calls into ESPN and he shares that from what everything he's hearing, these teams aren't even talking right now. So a Harden trade's not happening before Thursday, right? What's the most I would give for Harden? Serge asks. Honestly, for Harden, it's like you take Ben Simmons and you take Matisse. You take either Ben Simmons, Matisse, or Maxey. If you want more defense, I'll give Brooklyn Matisse. If you want another ball handler, I'll give him Maxey. I'm not giving them both. I'm not throwing in draft picks on top of that. Mainly because from what everybody's saying, it's already looking like James Harden doesn't want to re-sign with the Nets. From what everybody's saying, it looks like he wants to find a new team, and a lot of people are saying he wants to play in Philly. But to give up a ton of depth for James Harden, I think would hurt us in the long run. Because I mean, at the end of the day, honestly, James Harden can get to this offseason and be like, hey, psych. I did want to play here, but then I got here. I don't really like it. I know you guys gave up so much for me, and then he could bounce. Now, I don't want him to do that. So my give for James Harden would just be, like I said, Ben Simmons and either Matisse or Maxey. I'm going to go ahead and open up these phone lines. If y'all do want to call in and join the conversation, please feel free. 609-365-0382. Once again, 609-365-0382. And to my knowledge, I don't know if my man Jason going to pull up tonight, but to my knowledge, I did fix the issue where I wasn't hearing the phone ring, so I should hear the phone ring on the first try. I ran a bunch of tests earlier this evening. If it doesn't work, I'm going to freak out and just, I don't know, scrap it. I don't know. But that's what I would give up for James Harden. It's Ben Simmons, and it's either Tyrese or it's Matisse. Hey, look at that. We got a caller. Let's see what we got going on here. Thank you for calling in the Hawks Hoops. Talking to Hawk, who am I speaking to?
Hey, man, you called it, man. I got to call out to my guy, man. What's happening?
How you doing? Look, man, look. First time you called it, and I pick it up. I fixed it.
First time, and it picked up.
I fixed it. You feel me?
Good stuff. You made it. You did it, boy.
It took a lot. I ain't going to hold you. I was reading some forms. It was a lot. It was a lot. I really had to figure out why this wasn't ringing.
Hey, man, that's what's up. On that James Harden deal, though, I just catch a little piece of what you were saying.
Uh-huh.
I don't know, man. I'm not feeling it. I feel like the Nets should get rid of his ass. Pardon my language. I think he needs to go. Let him go to Philly. Take Ben Simmons. Take some picks.
Picks too? So
yeah,
all right. So let me ask you this. What do you think the Sixers would have to give up to get Ben? Because what I was seeing earlier was a lot, and I don't think we should have to give up a lot to get James Harden.
So, as my cousin then pointed out, he wants to go with Daniel Morey.
Yes.
Right now, if you're the Nets, you got to sit down there and you don't want to take anything. I was saying Tobias, but then Tobias will be a hit to their cap space.
Yeah.
So there was somebody else that they were talking about, but I would take some picks. You got KD locked in. I mean, unfortunately, it's now looking to turn out to be a dumb move for KD.
It is.
I would just try to get as much as a package as you can because he's not going to win. I mean, that team is old. He's not going to win, being there by himself with them kind of players. So, at the next point, you just take it out. But it's better to trade James now and get nothing for him. And, I mean, I would take Ben because he'd be an everyday player.
Yep.
He got some more years on his contract.
Yep. He's locked up for a couple years.
He's still young. Yeah, you got some youth in there. We might as well just go ahead and just take him. And, with this whole Kyrie situation, who knows what he's going to do,
It's funny you mentioned Kyrie. I was looking at the Nets' upcoming games. The Nets have, I think 20-some games left, 25 games left in the regular season. Kyrie can only play in 10 of them right now.
Yep, my cousin said too, and I think it's a travesty.
Yeah.
That he's doing that, and I just feel like, especially from a younger generation standpoint, he's a phenomenal ball player. But
his team.
You got a team, man. You got a team, and you got to think about what's good for the team. You can't just look about what's good for you. And I guess what you want to be. You want to be a social activist, or you want to be a hooper?
You want to be a hooper.
You want to ring. You want to bring rings. Or do you want to? Basketball is not a 9 to 5. It's not a part-time job.
Yep.
So at the end of the day, if you're not about this life, it's not fair to the people who gave up and came here. KD could have gone to any situation.
He went there to play with Kyrie. He went there to play with Kyrie.
Now, granted, nobody knew COVID was going to come out.
True.
It probably would have been a different situation, but James Harden is not the same fit. The reason why I wanted to go to Philly is because I kind of feel like let's offload him because he's not getting the calls that he wants anymore. He's not a guy that keeps himself in shape, and you're going to pay him a big contract. And what are you going to get on the back end? Let Philly deal with that. Because I don't think him and Joel is going to be great. I'm not lying to you. Let him go.
Yeah.
Because he's not a conditioning type guy. He's not a Kobe. Maybe he'll be that way going down, but his whole game is predicated on I'm gonna heavy you, I'm gonna take the step back, I'm gonna fall on the ground, you're gonna foul me, and I'm gonna get to the line 20 times. Now that they're not calling that no more,
he's struggling for real.
What's happening? It's taking a hit. And with the new basketball, this dude is not Steph Curry. And I think KD is starting to realize, like, what he left in Golden State, he's never going to say it because he's just a basketball purist.
Oh, no, he won't say it.
But, James is not Clay. Kyrie is not Steph.
Yeah.
He might be better, but just from a mentality, he's not Steph.
Steve Nash isn't Steve Kerr. As people that can't say Steve Kerr is a great coach, but I mean, if you ask me, he's a better coach than Steve Nash. The Warriors ran better schemes than the Nets running.
I think they respect. So Kerr will always have something. He played with Michael Jordan. He played with Tim Duncan.
Yeah.
He played with superstars that he can relate to the superstar level.
That's true.
It's the same thing like Phil Jackson had with Kobe. Listen, when Mike did this, this is what he did. I'm giving you something relatable. Steve Nash, what are you relating to? You got a job because you Steve Nash. That's why you got the job.
That is true.
They know it. They understand it, and this is what it is. So, I hope the trade deadline tomorrow. James Harden ass is gone. Pardon me again. I'm trying to keep it clean. Sorry. I hope he's out of here.
It's all good.
Go over there with Joel Embiid. You know what I'm saying? And see how much the MVP gets the ball and how much he starts crying over there when y'all ain't feeding him. Go ahead. Hopefully y'all do great. I don't think you will. Just saying. Hoping Nets win. That's what I am. Just give me some picks so Brooklyn can retool themselves back up and try to get somebody else. I don't know who they're going to get.
Yeah.
Bradley Beal was smart for doing what he did, so obviously he doesn't want to leave the Wizards to go to a bum team.
Yep.
So he took his surgery. So yeah, that's just how I feel about it. Last thing I want to say before I jump off of here. LaMelo Ball.
All-Star.
Welcome to All-Star game. My
All-Star.
guy, future of the NBA, right there.
Your guy's an All-Star. That is true.
Future.
Your guy's an All-Star.
He made an All-Star appearance before Zion Williamson. I'm just going to leave that alone. So we just going to go there. Hawks Hoops, as always, great job, man.
Appreciate you.
All right, later.
Later, man. Always appreciate it. Thank you for calling in, Jason. He made some good points. His Harden Philly trade is a reasonable one. You know, he just said Ben Simmons, a couple of picks. Philly can definitely put a package together like that. Oh, we got another caller coming in. Thank you for calling Hawks Hoops. This is Hawk. Who am I speaking with?
Yo, what's up, Hawk? How you doing, my guy?
What's up? What up? How you doing?
I'm good. Now, I was just calling and talking about this whole James Harden debacle.
Okay.
And this whole Philly situation.
How you feeling about it?
I mean, at this point, I'm just trying to see basketball be played, to be honest. If we're being honest.
That's a good point.
They sat James Harden last night because they were like, yo, we might be trading this man. And now it's like, oh, we might not be trading him. And Ben Simmons is just sitting here collecting a check. Granted, I hate watching him play, but at least just like put him on the floor. He doesn't have to. He can play the defense, yada yada yada. He could do that, but just get him on the floor.
I miss watching him play as a Philly fan. I'll admit, I miss watching him on the floor.
Yeah. I mean, granted, he has his moments. Not in the first 3 quarters of the game, obviously.
Yeah.
He has his moments. But the thing with Kyrie, I'm like, bro, the report came out, what? It was the last month or so, like probably 2 months ago, that if the Nets, they have 3 violations. The first one's a warning if Kyrie plays at home. The second one's like 2,500. And third and so forth is 5 bans. Bro, y'all are the plane right now. Nets, they're in the plane right now.
They are.
Need Kyrie to play. Y'all better start dropping that bread. Like, just either take it out of his contract, something. Let the man play. Just play some basketball, bro. It's All-Star break. The season's about to start after All-Star break. You know, after All-Star break,
that's when it start getting popping.
Everybody's like, yo, yeah, that's what it is. Like, bro, we need him to get in game shape. Same thing with Ben. We need Ben to start getting into game shape because you already know once Ben comes back, the whole physicality of the game, just the 48 minutes of being in an NBA game is different from running around in practice. So he's gonna have to get in game.
And he ain't even really running around in practice. He ain't practicing. He at the facility lifting, but he ain't running 5 with the Sixers. He ain't even running around.
He's going to look bad. He's not in game shape.
Yeah, he's not in game shape. He's going to take. Ben Simmons' team is kind of. I mean, his people have already said if he does get traded or if he does come back to play, whatever, he's going to need a couple of weeks to ramp back up into game shape. So even if he gets traded to the Nets, we're still not going to see him for probably 2.5 weeks.
I mean, but that's fair. I mean, right, it's a short travel. Just go up the street to Brooklyn and he'd be good. But this whole James Harden thing, like, I don't think it would be smart for Philly to not trade away what they have because all signs are pointing to James coming to the Philly.
Yeah, in the offseason.
James wants to go to Philly. Yeah, James wants to go to Philly. One, because of Daryl Morey, because that's James Harden. He's the big analytics guy. Volume shots, taking shots, yada, yada, yada. James wants to go to Philly also because of Joel Embiid. He has his best year when he has good big men who can play defense. Obviously, Joel's not the one to catch a lob, but Joel's going to be able to set him screens, give him space. If you put him and Joel in this pick and roll at the top of the key in the three-point line, you got to watch Joel fade in or even roll in. So that is going to help James Harden get back into rhythm, get back into playing how he used to play.
Yep.
I'm not saying he's going to look like Houston James Harden, but he's going to look a lot better than what he's doing on the Nets.
Yeah.
Because they're not really running sets or plays for him. See, that's a terrible coach. I'm sorry.
I mean, yeah, the ball's definitely not in his hands like it has been in past seasons. And I think that's affecting his game a little bit. I think Philly could work. He's not my first choice for Philly, though. I'm gonna talk about it in a second. I have my first choice for Philly. I don't think it's gonna happen, but I think Harden could work. I just don't think it. Like you said, I don't see it happening to the offseason, though.
Yeah, it's definitely not happening to the offseason because I mean, it's smarter that way. But at the same time, they're taking a risk. Yes, we're gonna get James Harden, but the risk is Ben Simmons' trade value is gonna go down.
Yeah.
And at this point, the best thing I could really see for Philly, if James Harden makes it off season, tell him to OKC for some picks. Because Presti's sitting on a whole bunch of picks.
Presti's sitting on a whole bunch of picks. I'll take SGA and picks for Ben Simmons if we talking to the Thunder, to be honest with you. I'd take SGA and picks in a heartbeat.
I mean, I don't know if they're not giving up SGA that easily.
Look, they could take SGA. I mean, they could take Ben, and they can have Maxey, and they can keep the picks. I just want SGA.
I mean, yeah, SGA would definitely be good. A guard who can play both sides as well. He's a very efficient guard too. So
yeah,
that's the thing. If you get SGA, do you really need James Harden?
No, you don't.
So, like I said, Philly's in a dilemma. James Harden's in a dilemma. And I feel like this all comes down to just Kyrie, because I feel like Kyrie is getting on James Harden as well as KD's nerves.
Yeah.
If we're being totally honest. So, like I said, Kyrie, I don't know what Kyrie got to do, but take that fine, bro. Take that fine.
We'll see if they actually start to do it. They have it as an option. I feel like because they haven't done it yet, haven't started paying those fines, haven't started letting him play in home games, there's got to be something more to it that just like the general public doesn't know. You know what I mean? Like when it comes to that fine situation. Because all I seen was the tweet. I ain't really, go reading bylaws and actually reading up the mandates and stuff. But it's got to be something more to it.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure there is, but I also feel like they're saving that. I feel like they want to surprise people at the end.
Yeah.
And then they're going to eventually throw Kyrie in there. It's like, oh, there's that trap card type stuff. You just want to surprise everybody.
Yeah.
So that might be it. But the last thing I want to say is Lakers fans are delusional. And there's something wrong with that fan base.
Why are they delusional? Because they wanted move Russ?
No, it's not Russ. It's just, I mean, on Twitter yesterday, we were looking at all these trades for Dame and all this other stuff. They just
that part, yeah, no, that ain't happening.
They're very delusional. And that whole Russell Westbrook situation, Russ is just a scapegoat, obviously.
Yeah.
Russ is really the scapegoat. Because you can look at it, yes, he be shooting off the side of the backboard, but he's shooting a decent percentage from the field.
Yeah.
It's just, like I said, Russ is that guy that you can always blame because, yes, his game is very erratic. So it's easy to blame him because he be wilding. But if we're being totally honest, it's not just that one person. It's a team effort. But I mean, hey, everybody is saying he's not efficient because he's not shooting the ball.
I mean, yeah, that's what everybody's saying, but it's funny to me that so many people are talking about Russ's shooting and his inefficiency this season, and they're saying like he's so inefficient and it's really not working and he's a scapegoat. They're just not Russ fans. They haven't watched. They're people who haven't watched Russ his whole career, because when you look at his field goal percentages, they're right on par with the rest of his career. To be completely honest with you.
Even his MVP season, like, I don't get it.
Yeah, even his MVP season, yeah, it wasn't amazing shooting.
Yeah, like, that's what I'm just saying. Like,
he's not a shooter.
Like I said, he's not. It's just a classical. He's the easiest person to blame because he's erratic. He causes turnovers and this and that.
Yeah.
But, like, bro, let someone else on the team do that. It's like they had a bad game. But Russ does this all the time. It's not an all-the-time situation.
It's not.
Yes, he's been shooting bad. Yes, he's been shooting bad the last couple of games. Like, the last 4 games, he's been shooting bad. But everybody goes through those slumps.
Yeah.
But it's because you're losing now. This is the time to blame him. But hey, man, free Russ. You know what I mean?
Free Russ. I appreciate. Yeah, I feel that.
All right, man.
Appreciate you for calling, Rio.
All right, man.
Later. Yeah, man. Quickly, I'm gonna wrap up. What's up, Blueberry? Hey, listening at work. I appreciate you for pulling up. Mr. Charlie, we'll talk about the Lakers in a second. I want to just wrap up this Sixers conversation, and I'm going to talk about some trades that actually happened this week. James Harden to Philly. Honestly, I don't love it, to be real. On paper, I think it makes sense. I think to a lot of people, I see why it makes sense is what I mean to say. But when we think about the type of play we're seeing from Joel Embiid, I think he's unlocked a new level of play that we haven't seen from him before. We thought last year was like an MVP caliber season from him. He's even playing better this year. And I think if we get James Harden, someone who is so ball dominant, someone who needs the ball in his hand so much, you're going to see a regression from Joel Embiid a little bit. And is that a good or a bad thing? I don't really know. It could turn out to be a good thing because Joel might only take a step down a little bit, but you get so much production from Harden. But Joel said himself he's been able to do more this season because, I mean, basically Ben Simmons isn't on the floor. He doesn't have someone who has the ball in their hands all the time, taking up the ball. So Joel's been able to do a lot more this season. My pick for who I would have loved to see the Sixers go after would have been Damian Lillard. I think Damian Lillard fits alongside Ben Simmons way more than James Harden does. This season, obviously, with his surgery and stuff like that, I think a lot of people might have been a little hesitant. I didn't really hear that many people outside of like fans talk about a potential Dame move to Philly. But to me, that made the most sense, especially because I thought the Blazers were going to be moving towards a rebuild. We're going to talk about that in a second. Looks like they're not. But Sixers, at this rate, honestly, do something in the offseason, because if the asking price is what we've talked about before with all these pieces for James Harden, I don't think he's worth that much. I think he's a great player. I think he's an all-NBA caliber player, but he's not worth basically a 5-man trade for, in my opinion. KO, what's good with you, man? Thank you for pulling up to the show. How you doing, man? I think, is this your first time in the stream? It might be. Pull up. You can feel free to call in whenever you want to join the conversation, 609-365-0382. Today we're talking about trades. I just got off my soapbox talking about Ben Simmons and the situation in Philadelphia. Now we're going to talk about some actual trades that happened. So let me pull up my list of trades. Like I was saying earlier, shout out to NBA.com for keeping track of just the NBA trade tracker. You get the breakdown of all the trades that have happened. I do want to start with a trade that I think kind of confused me a lot. The Pacers turned on trade. Rudy Gay's the GOAT. You know what? We'll start with that trade. Just because you're in here, right? Oh, boy. First off, the Pacers has had a great trade deadline so far. The Pacers have been extremely successful. So I feel like by now we all know, but if you don't know, the Pacers got Tyrese Halliburton, Buddy Hield, and Tristan Thompson for Domantas Sabonis, Justin Holiday, Jeremy Lamb, and the 2023 second-round pick. The Kings franchise, when I first heard this trade, my legitimate reaction was the Kings are a garbage franchise. The Kings are being the Kings. The Kings don't want to win games. Like, these were my initial reactions. I didn't have time to make, a YouTube short or a TikTok for it. I was at work. And so I had time to just let it sit, let my mind think about it for a little bit. And I'm not saying the Kings made the right move. I still don't think they made the right move. What I'm saying is I get why they made the move they made. Tyrese Halliburton, while he is having a great season, while I definitely see potential for him to be a really good starting caliber guard on a good playoff team, and he could grow to potentially be an all-star in the future. However, I also understand why they decided to keep Darren Fox. Darren Fox has been their guy, since the beginning, kind of, sort of. They just gave him they just extended his contract. They feel that he's their guy for the future. They wanted to stick with him. They wanted to go with him. And while a lot of people are, I feel like, prisoners of the moment, because yes, De'Aaron Fox is having a down year. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Right now, De'Aaron Fox is having a down year. He missed some time earlier this season, and that's when we got to see how good Tyrese Halliburton is. But De'Aaron Fox isn't trash Rudy Gay, in my opinion, at least. He had a career year last season. Just last season, he had a career year. Now, granted, can he shoot? Still no. He's not a great three-point shooter. But if he can get back to the type of play he had last year, just last year, we were all talking about him in most improved player conversations. So is he having a down year? Yes. Could it be attributed to a whole lot of things? Is that the type of player he's going to grow to be in the future from now on? Potentially. But the Kings are willing to make that risk, willing to double down on Fox. That's the guy they wanted. Now, do De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis fit together? I don't really know. Like, to be completely honest, I really like Sabonis' game. I think he's a very, very skilled big. He's been all-star in the past. He has all-star level play and potential. He's not like an all-star starter level, a lock-in guy, but there are going to be years where he can't make the all-star team, like we've seen in the past. But Domantas Sabonis isn't really a great stretch big, and the fact that Fox isn't a shooter in his own right, those pick and rolls between Domantas Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox, the defense is definitely going to be sagging off. It's going to be played at drop coverage. I think they're going to have some serious spacing issues. But this also proves to me that the Sacramento Kings want to continue to make a push to try to make the play-in spot. They want that play-in spot. The Kings are tired of their drought, and they are hoping Sabonis, this move for Sabonis can help them secure that play-in spot. Right now, they're 13th in the Western Conference. They're 20-36. Oof. But they're only 3 games out of the 10th spot in the West. Could they get there? Potentially. KO says they had to pick 2 of the 3 guards. Davion Mitchell gave them the option to trade Halliburton. I mean, yeah, exactly. They also had a logjam at the guard position. Davion is playing solid. They want to stay with their core. Tyrese had very, very, very high trade value because he's been playing so well. I don't know if Indiana makes that trade for Fox. They might, but I don't know for sure. But Tyrese, I can see them making that trade because Tyrese is having a better year. Now, on Indiana's side, hey, Indiana, y'all did y'all thing. Y'all did y'all thing. Now, I'll be honest with you. When the reports came out that Indiana was looking to move off of Sabonis, potentially Miles Turner, I thought Indiana was going to blow it up, full rebuild. For real. I thought that was the obvious direction they should move in. Just blow it up, potentially tank for a year or two, develop some young players, and try to make a move to get back into the playoff push maybe a year or two down the line. They said, no, we're not going to do that. We're just going to retool. We're going to add a couple of these pieces, and we're going to get better. Tyrese Halliburton is such a good pickup for them. Such a good pickup for them. And the addition of, where did I see that as well? Moving off of Karras, I think was a smart move for them, especially since they're going to keep, since they're keeping Tyrese. I think it's going to be a good move. I'm looking forward to watching Pacers basketball. I think the Pacers, honestly, I don't know how hard they're going to push. I don't think, I don't see them going on a crazy win streak. But if the Pacers can get in the conversation of making a play-in game, right now they're also 13th in the Eastern Conference. Their record is a little bit worse than the Kings. They're 19-37, and the Hawks are 26-28. So they're almost 10 games. They're 8 games behind the Hawks. Do they make the play-in? I don't know. But I like this for the Pacers moving forward. I think they have I don't want to almost say bright future, but they have a really nice young core. They did exactly what they wanted to do. They wanted to retool, they wanted to stay young, and they wanted to build for the future. They were able to do that. Next team on the list that I'm going to talk about real quick. All right, we got to talk about these Blazers. We just have to. We got to talk about the Portland Trail Blazers because they're not making any sense to me. Like, for real, the Portland Trail Blazers, the moves that they're making are screaming, we want a free agent in the offseason. There's no free agent available that fits this team. In my opinion, at least. In my opinion, there's no free agent that works on the Portland Trail Blazers. At least not a real big name that's going to move the needle to make Dame happy to get y'all to championship contention. Because if you have Damian Lillard on your team, that should be the goal. We want to be title contenders. With the moves y'all just made and the way this franchise has been running in the last couple of years, y'all aren't making moves to be franchise contenders. But the problem with the Trailblazers isn't the personnel on the court. It's the problem with the Trailblazers starts at the top. The past couple of years, I think his name is Neil O'Shea. He's been running the team. I haven't loved the way he's been running the team. He gets fired going into this season. Now they have an interim guy. I don't even know the interim guy's name off the top of my head. They haven't just said or announced that he's going to be the main guy for the years to come. So they have an interim GM that are making the most important decisions for your franchise. Like, these are the most important decisions this franchise has made in the last 5 years. Trading CJ was a huge decision. Trading CJ, Larry Nance, and Tony Snell. You got back Josh Hart, Nickeil Alexander-Walker for a day, Tomas Satoransky for a day, and Didi I don't know how to say his last name. I just call him Didi. They got some picks, but whatever. They're heavily protected picks. And then you turn around and you then gave up. Who did they trade for Nickeil Alexander-Walker? They also got rid of Norman Powell, Robert Covington, pick up Eric Bledsoe, Justin Winslow. They just have done a lot of moves over the last couple of days that make no sense to me. Absolutely no sense. When they first said removing CJ, I just knew. I said, okay, Dame's getting moved next. And now they're talking about something. Well, we got about $60 million in cap room for the upcoming offseason. No one's coming there, bro. No one's coming to Portland. No one wants to play in Portland. You got a first-year head coach in Chauncey Billups. No disrespect to Chauncey Billups. I love him as a player. He's not really proven himself to be an amazing coach. So even if I'm a free agent, it's not like, oh, not only do I get to play with Dame, I get to play underneath this great coach. No, you don't have a great coach. You don't say, oh, I get to play with this great organization that runs their team so well. No, they don't have that either. They have an interim GM, and it's clear that they don't know how to make basketball decisions. The only thing that's a positive there is, yeah, you get to play with Dame, an amazing point guard, an elite all-NBA level point guard. But, okay. So unless you're one of the top 3 players in the league, yeah, you're going to go play with Dame. Great. Have fun. Enjoy your second round exit of the playoffs, because that's what's going to happen, because the only players available that would really make an impact are all guards. Kyrie, John Wall, Bradley Beal, I'm missing one, James Harden. They're all guards. All guards who can't play and don't play defense. What are these Blazers doing? I saw a tweet earlier today. If the Blazers miss in the offseason, like, they have to sign whatever their dream board looks like right now in their front office, they have to be able to sign everyone, or it doesn't make sense. Mario says Dame wishing he got traded instead of CJ. I mean, actually, Rio, I couldn't find the article, but apparently there was somewhere on NBA.com. He said he's looking forward, like he wants to, basically said, I'm not running from the grind. He's been working hard. He's looking forward to coming back from his surgery, and he hopes his team's in a good spot when he comes back. He wants to be there, apparently. Serge says if they did this like 2-3 years ago, who knows where they would be now. Exactly. They brought in Joe Ingles, who just tore his ACL. That's what I meant to talk about when I said they just moved Nickeil Alexander for somebody. Thank you, Serge. They moved Nickeil Alexander-Walker for Joe Ingles, who just tore his ACL, so he's out all season. Also, ACL, he really won't be back till this time next year at the earliest, so he's not going to be here for the first half of next season. I don't know what this team is doing. I have no idea what this team is doing. Blueberry says, only reason someone would go there would be money. Some players don't even care as long as they're paid. That is very, very true. That is very, very true. Blueberry, that's a great point. A lot of people said that about Carmelo Anthony when he re-signed with the Knicks back in the day. Took all that money with the Knicks, and when everybody was like, hey, yo, the Knicks aren't doing anything, people were blaming him, not blaming him, but accusing him of just wanting the money. And Serge, I agree with you. If the Trailblazers did this about 2-3 years ago, who knows where they would be now? Like, they could, especially if you look back to last year, before CJ got injured, CJ was about to make an all-star team, 100% going to make an all-star team. CJ's trade value was at its peak 2 years ago. They could have got some amazing players a couple of years ago. Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know. Blazers, y'all got to figure something out. Triple OG, thanks for pulling up to the stream. What you miss? Nothing crazy so far. Basically told everybody I don't want James Harden in Philly. I didn't say that exactly, but and now we're talking about trades that actually have gone down. Mario says there was a live call when he told Brown to make that. There was a lot. Yeah, on IG Live, I did see the clip of him saying Brown make the call, but I'll be honest, I couldn't tell if that was a recent clip. I couldn't tell if that was an old clip, and all I kept seeing was that clip retweeted. There was no context with it, at least from what I could tell. So I don't know if it's a current, from this week, or is that from a while ago? Because it also did look mad sunny outside, but he also lives in Oregon, so I don't know what the weather is like in Oregon. It felt like a summer clip to me, but I could be wrong. Blazers, y'all just gotta figure something out, man. I don't know what your future holds. Dame's one of my favorite players in the league. I like Dame's game. I like his game. I like his hustle. I like his work ethic. I respect the fact that, it's a meme now when we make fun of him for it now, but I respect his whole, not running from the grind mentality. Because for a little bit there, it felt like every NBA superstar was, quote unquote, running from the grind, trying to build super teams, stuff like that. And Dame was standing 10 toes down saying, that's not me, that's not what I'm doing. I think part of that is the reason why now he is just sticking with the Blazers so hard, because he knows what he said in the past. And he knows the internet is not going to let him just slide if he asks for a trade. Yeah, everybody's saying now, Dame, we understand. Ask for the trade. We get it. You don't want to run from the grind. I'm seeing a lot of people say this, but it's going to be just as many people on his neck if he does ask for a trade. KO says it's a front. They blowing it up. Dame just playing nice. It really could be a front. It could be. And that's the only thing that would make sense to me, KO. It's got to be a front. If it's not a front, then Dame's just as crazy as everybody else that's running that organization. Triple OG says, don't get me wrong, I'm a huge Dame fan, but he's just another Reggie Miller. I don't think he'll win a ring. Whoo. Dang. Now, the ring part, he might not never win a ring on his own. But just another Reggie Miller is an interesting phrase. I can't get too mad at that. That's not a crazy statement. It's to me, it's not a crazy statement. I think he's better than, the type of player Reggie was, to be honest with you, like skill set wise. But in terms of Reggie's impact on the league at the time with the other players that were around, I think he's higher in ranking if you were to like compare where Reggie was ranked to his contemporaries at the time, and you compare where Dame's ranked to his contemporaries and now. But in terms of a guy who's like, a great player who probably will never win a championship, that's a guard that want to stay loyal to the team to a fault. I mean, the storyline is there. And yeah, KO, there are no free agents in 2022. All right, let me get off my Blazers soapbox. I'm a big Blazers fan. I'm a fan of CJ. I listen to CJ's podcast. Like, I like that team. I always hoped they could figure something out. I always felt that either health or they were always being fully healthy and a good wing away from being real title contenders, in my opinion. And that just never worked. It just never happened. But speaking of CJ McCollum, let's talk about him going to the Pelicans just real quick. Like I said, CJ, Larry Nance, Tony Snell joining the Pelicans. I think this is a great pickup for the Pelicans. I think CJ can have an immediate impact on the Pelicans. I think that CJ's addition, Larry Nance's addition, I won't be surprised if we see the Pelicans in making a push to make the play-in. Because right now the Pelicans are the 10 seed. They're 22-32. The Blazers are right behind them, but the Blazers are going to drop. They're going to start losing some games. The Kings, we just talked about them, they're going to continue to try to make a push. But the Pelicans should lock up a play-in spot, at least. At the least, they should be able to lock in that play-in spot with the addition of CJ McCollum. Do I want to talk about Zion? I mean, I think Zion, if Zion eventually comes back, whenever that is, probably next season at this point, to be honest with you. Like, I haven't heard any news on Zion in a while, and I was trying to find news on him for today's show. But the addition of CJ added to that team brings a lot of floor spacing for Zion. I think CJ is going to flourish in that third option role. I think he's been the second option in Portland for a while, and I think he did a solid job of being the second option. I think he did a really good job of being the second option. I'll say that. But I also think that if he has some pressure taken off of him with Zion there, with Brandon Ingram there, I think that's your number one and your number two. And going into the season, I can see them having it'd be Brandon Ingram, then it's going to be Zion, then it's going to be CJ. I think CJ's going to be great on that team. I really, really do. Now, that team's got to learn how to play some defense. Zion's got to play some defense. CJ's not a good defender. Brandon Ingram's a solid defender, especially this season. He's being a lot better. But that team, that's going to be a team that you see some high-scoring games. They're just going to try to outscore you, at least for now. Hopefully, Zion learns how to play some defense. Larry Nance Jr. is a really, really good backup big for them. The Pelicans made out very, very good on this trade. The Pelicans made out very good. CJ's locked up for the next couple of years. You ain't got to worry about him trying to go nowhere. You ain't got to worry about trying to re-sign him. He's locked up. You're going to have him for a while. Great move. Great move from the New Orleans Pelicans. Dumb move for the Portland Trailblazers. We talked about the Kings. We talked about the Pacers. Talked about the Trailblazers. Cavaliers getting Karis LeVert from the Pacers was a really, really good move for them. Karis LeVert is actually starting to look back. Before I continue on with the Cavs, I was reading, sorry for the random pause. I was reading Mario's comment. He says, CJ could have the impact on the Pelicans similar to DeMar DeRozan in Chicago. I think that's a really, really good point. I think that's actually... I think CJ could be a really good closer for them. How DeMar DeRozan is the closer for the Chicago Bulls, how DeMar DeRozan and alongside Zach LaVine are just like their go-to scorers. I think CJ could bring that to that team. I think CJ could bring a calmness because CJ's been in big games. He's been in the playoffs for multiple years. He's been in big playoff games. We saw him in the Game 7 against Denver. Was that just last season or the season before where Dame wasn't playing up to his standard? We've seen CJ step up in big moments. So I think he could have a huge impact on the Pelicans. He can be a great closer for their games if they start to get into, playoff conversations. He could be that type of player who kind of takes over in the fourth quarter and does his thing. But yeah, like Blueberry says, I like Karis LeVert in Cleveland. That was a good move. Like going back to Cleveland, the Cavaliers, picking up Karis LeVert, I think that was a really good move for them, especially being able to offload Ricky Rubio. It sucks that Ricky Rubio got injured. He's going to be out for the rest of the season because he was having a really good year. I was really liking what I was seeing from Ricky Rubio. But Karis LeVert is going to fit in fine there. Now, the question I have for the Cavaliers is, now that you got Karis LeVert, you got Darius Garland, you got Colin Sexton. I don't know. I've seen some people say bring Sexton off the bench. I've seen people say that they think Sexton would be great in a sixth man role, in a J.R. Smith type role. Because Sexton, I like him as a player, but he's a bit of a shot chucker, similar to how J.R. Smith was. You let him run with that second unit, he's the guy who you want taking shots on the second unit. You don't want him taking away shots from your starting guys. Let's see who's calling in. Thank you for calling the Hawks Hoops. Just talking to Hawk. Who am I speaking with?
Yeah, my name's Jay.
What up? How you doing, man?
I'm chilling. How you feeling?
Good.
All right, so I got a hot take that I've been getting a lot of fire for from my friends.
Okay.
I say, and I said it even before the draft, that Ja Morant is better than Zion because if Zion wants to play big in size inside, he has to put on some more muscle or more weight. But that means he's not going to be able to jump out of the gym like he did when we saw him at Duke, when we saw him in high school. Just jumping out the gym is not going to last. His knees are going to go, right?
Okay.
But if he wants to jump out of the gym, like we're all used to, and the explosive, crazy plays and, jumping 30 feet for blocks, he has to lose weight. But that means he's not going to be able to be a bully inside. So I think Ja Morant's body is just more built for it.
Yeah.
And, Zion, right now, it looks like he don't even want to play in New Orleans.
That is the thing I've been hearing. Yeah, there's been a lot of rumors about him trying to get out of New Orleans. I think, honestly, though, this CJ move, I don't know if it's going to fully change his mind, but I could see him thinking, like, okay, I might actually want to play here now, at least, because the team is showing they're wanting to build a better team for him.
Yeah, but I think New Orleans is just a place he didn't want to be. I think he wanted, like, New York, something like a big city.
Yeah.
New York, somewhere, L.A., maybe Miami, just like a big city where you could just, enjoy life instead of being in New Orleans. Like, there's not a whole lot going on in New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, that's my take. Ja Morant was the better pick. I would have taken him number one if I was New Orleans. And I just think he's going to go down as a better player.
I don't think that's too crazy of a take, to be honest with you. I think, especially, revisionist history, looking back on it now, or even in the moment, I wouldn't have been surprised. Well, in the moment, I don't know anybody in the league that would have not taken Zion, to be honest with you. I just think there was just too much hype behind him. But like you said, looking back on it, revisionist history, Ja could turn out to be the better player in the future. And honestly, just comes down to Zion's health. It to me, at least, it comes down to Zion's health. Because in my opinion, when Zion's healthy, personally, I'm picking Zion over Ja. Only because, in my opinion, when Zion's healthy and wants to play basketball, there's no one on the court that can stop him. I've seen him, body up and just destroy in the paint, who a lot of people consider one of the best paint defenders in the league, and Rudy Gobert. I've seen him, blow by slower bigs. I've seen him dominate and just, post up smaller guards that try to switch on to him. He has the ability to be a really, really good player. It just all comes down to health for him. It comes down to health. It comes down to mentality. It comes down to the mentality of wanting to stay in shape. And it's all on him, in my opinion. It really is all on him. If he wants it, it's there for him. But he's got to have the right mentality to be able to stay in the gym, stay healthy, eat right, stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, look, don't get me wrong. He's insanely athletic. He's insanely good at basketball.
Yeah.
But I just feel like Ja Morant's ability to move the ball around, get his team involved, and you never have to question if he wants to be there, if he wants to play. Like, nobody has ever doubted if Ja Morant wants to be in Memphis or if he wants to be in the league, if he's dedicated to it.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those things. Do you put all your money and trust into the guy you don't know if he wants it? It's just a weird situation for New Orleans. And like you said, I think the CJ move could keep him around just because it proves, you know, they want to win games. They want to be a playoff team. They want to be a legitimate contender. But I don't know if it's going to get done with Zion not playing games.
Yeah. It's weird to talk about because we haven't seen him at all, you know? And I don't know what version of him we're going to see when he does eventually come back, if he comes back, where he's going to come back. But, I mean, Ja's a dog. Like you said, there's no questioning Ja's work ethic. There's no questioning his motor. He has the utmost confidence, and I love that about him. I love that he's in Memphis. I think Memphis is a great city for him. I think the culture of Memphis is a great city for a player like Ja Morant, a gritty player who's a dog and he wants to hoop.
I think we're going to see Ja in like 3 or 4 years as a unquestionable top 3 point guard in the league. I don't know what it is.
That. I think, yeah.
But I think very soon he's going to solidify himself as top 3 in the league.
I can see that for sure. He's got the talent for it.
I just wanted to get that off, let you hear it.
Appreciate it, man.
On it. I love what you're doing.
Thank
I love
you.
Your Instagram. All right. Be safe out there.
Later, man. Appreciate you for calling in, man. And I mean, yeah, Ja is special. I will give him that. Ja is special. But I don't know, man. Maybe it's just I'm buying into the hype, but I don't want to say I'm a Zion stan, but I'm definitely like drinking the Zion Kool-Aid, if you will. Like my boy KO said in the comments, Zion is better if he actually cares. He's a generational finisher at the rim without even dunking. And to me, that's facts. I mean, 26 points a game on, what was he at, 65% from the field his rookie season when he was there. That's just crazy numbers. If he can get healthy, if he can stay healthy, if he can just play basketball, he'll be fine. We talked about the Cavs, Karis LeVert. I think that's all the trades that I've seen so far. We spent a long time talking about trades. Appreciate everybody who's called in. Appreciate everybody who's in the comments. I didn't even realize we've been on here for 52 minutes. If y'all still rocking with me, we're going to keep going. If you got to dip out, I understand. I wanted to quickly go over, because I didn't get a chance to go over it last week because, it wasn't out yet. The All-Star reserves, I just want to go over them real quick. I have two just quick thoughts on the All-Star reserves. One, I really wasn't that far off from my list. If you missed last week's episode, I shared my All-Star reserve predictions. The only missing piece I had, or what I thought was different, Jared Allen would have been an All-Star on my list. I had him at I don't see how you not have Jared Allen. And what's this man's name? Jason Tatum was not an All-Star on my list. Yes, Serge says he averaged 27 last year. Let's not forget that. Exactly. So let's look at this All-Star. Let's pull them up real quick. You know what I mean? Let's look at them together. Let's pull them up. Let's talk about it for a second. These All-Star. Boop. You know what I mean? If you're new to the show, you ain't know I could do this. You ain't even know I could do this. Y'all ain't know about this. If you're new to the show, you ain't even know we had these capabilities. You feel me? All right. So let's look at these reserves. Like I said, just real quick. We already know who the starters are. They threw Jason Tatum in there to replace Kevin Durant. Yeah, they threw Jason Tatum in there to start a lineup to replace Kevin Durant in the lineup, but then also just to replace him as an injury reserve. You got LaMelo Ball. Jimmy Butler, Darius Garland, James Harden, Zach LaVine, Chris Middleton, and Fred VanVleet. Okay. Booker, Luka, Rudy, Draymond, not going to be playing, but he still gets the nod. Donovan Mitchell, DeJounte Murray, taking Draymond's spot. Chris Paul, Karl Anthony Towns. Y'all gonna think I'm crazy, but I'll be completely honest. Jason Tatum, in my opinion, should not be an all-star over Jared Allen. His numbers are there. Everyone loves Jason Tatum. Everyone loves Jaylen Brown. And this goes for both of them, to be completely honest with you. Because when I made my list, I was going back and forth between Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. And a lot of people, I heard a lot of people back and forth. And I know for most people, Jason Tatum was on their list. Or Jaylen Brown was on their list. For me, neither of them were on my list. They've just been too up and down all season. Just as of late, they've been playing a little bit better. But the team success isn't there at all. I know it's All-Star game. It's not about the team. But I still put a little bit of weight into that. Just a little bit. Not a ton, but a little bit. And that little bit was enough for me to have Jared Allen in there over Jason Tatum. In my mind, Jared Allen should have been an All-Star. 100% should have been an All-Star. Serge in the comments says, Allen over Middleton, right? And that was the other thing a lot of people were talking about in the Eastern Conference. A lot of people were really surprised that Chris Middleton made the All-Star reserves. On my list, he made it. He made it on my list. Now, if you're dead set on having Jason Tatum on there, I get it. Some people would say, take out Chris Middleton, put in Jared Allen. I'm saying take out Jason Tatum, put in Jared Allen. Let Chris Middleton also be an all-star. Because Chris Middleton, yeah, he started off slow. He started off real slow, not looking like himself. But lately, if you've been catching up with the Bucks games over the last, I'd say probably 2 months, he's been looking like himself. He's been playing really well. The Bucks are winning. He's playing well on both sides of the ball. I like defense. If you're a two-way player, you're going to be a favorite of mine. I have a inherent bias to like defensive players. If you're a two-way guy, if you're a guy who gets his hands dirty, gets his feet in the mud, and plays defense, I'm going to like you. Blueberry says, I'm not a fan of Tatum at all, probably just because I don't like the Celtics. I mean, if you don't like the Celtics, then yeah, you're not going to be a Tatum fan. But to me, it shouldn't have been Tatum. It should have been Jared Allen. I love the fact that the coaches gave the nod to Fred VanVleet. In my mind, he had to be an all-star. He's been playing great this year. Of course, Zach LaVine was going to make it. Of course, James Harden was going to make it. Shout out to Darius Garland. Well deserving. But in my opinion, he was also a lock. The Cavs have been playing too well, and I knew they were going to at least get one all-star. So, of course, Darius Garland was going to make the team. I also like that they weren't like, what's what I'm looking for? They kept it real because for a little bit there, I was seeing some people say LaMelo Ball would probably get it initially, and they were saying Darius Garland would be the injury reserve, if you will. And I'm like, ain't no way. In the grand scheme of things, it don't really matter. Like at the end of your career, when you're looking at your resume, it just says all-star. It doesn't say all-star starter. It doesn't say injury reserve. It doesn't say any of that. Us basketball nerds, we might like to get in the thick of the weeds and things like that and, whatever. But for real, it don't matter. All-star is an all-star. But I do like that Darius was a legit all-star. And shout out to LaMelo. I'm not mad at him being the all-star replacement. I'm not mad at it. There's a couple other people you could have made an argument for. But in my mind, LaMelo was the next person on my list, so I like the fact that he made the All-Star team. Jimmy, well deserved. Honestly, I heard a lot of people being iffy about Jimmy because he missed so much time. Like, I want to say Jimmy played in just over half of his games that the Miami Heat have played in this season. But he's been playing really, really well. I just realized my music's not playing. I'm like, why is it so quiet in my room? But Jimmy's been playing well. I liked what I have seen from him this season. But Jason Tatum shouldn't have been an all-star. That's all I'm going to say about that. Looking at the Western Conference, Devin Booker, Luka Doncic, Rudy, Draymond, Donovan, DeJounte Murray, Chris Paul, Karl Anthony Towns. I was 100% happy with this list. The only thing that I was like, about initially was I was curious to see who they were going to replace Draymond Green with. In my notes, in my book, I wanted it to be DeJounte Murray. I'm happy that it's DeJounte Murray. He's having a great season. Another great young guard doing a lot for a Spurs team that honestly no one's really watching unless you're a Spurs fan. Lucas says, I'm not a huge fan of Harden because I feel like he's lazy on defense. Hey, man, you're not necessarily wrong, but his offensive eliteness when he's playing like himself, it It just outweighs it. And it sucks to say, but it just outweighs it. Now, admittedly, Harden does play good defense if you get him in the right situation. This is a little bit of a tangent, but Harden on the perimeter, yes, not a good defender. He's a little bit too slow, in my opinion. However, a lot of times you'll notice that, especially in Houston, a lot of teams would, when he was in Houston, a lot of the time they would have him match up against either a bigger guard or a small forward, stuff like that. Someone who they knew was maybe a step slower and like to post up a lot, because James Harden plays amazing, and I mean amazing post defense. You might think that's me over-exaggeration. In my opinion, it's not. He is a really, really good post defender, mainly because of his size and strength. But he is a good post defender. All right, those are like I said, I just wanted to quickly go over the All-Stars, talk about that real quick, and had to show off the share screen. If you are new and haven't seen the share screen, I wanted to show that off. It was probably Ingram or Jamal Murray. Yeah, it would have been either DeJounte Murray. It was either Brandon Ingram or DeJounte Murray, like Serge said. And I'm not mad at the DeJounte Murray pick. I wouldn't have been mad at the Brandon Ingram pick. I think they're both playing very, very well. If you wanted to get, real nitpicky with it, I probably personally would have leaned a little bit more towards Brandon Ingram, solely because the Pelicans are winning more games. Like, that would have been it. The Pelicans are winning more. The Pelicans are in the play-in contention. They're in that conversation. So I might have leaned a little bit closer to Brandon Ingram, but I'm also not mad at DeJounte Murray getting some love. All right, let's see what's left on the docket for today. We've been live for about an hour. We're gonna do a little teens rapid fire, some things that I wanted to discuss before we head up out of here. Like I said, once again, I appreciate y'all for hanging out. This is definitely probably the longest show. And I think we had 3 callers. That might be the most callers. So, you know what I mean? I appreciate y'all. Just for y'all. An applause. Some quick thoughts, right? The Suns are elite. Just quick thoughts about actual basketball. I feel like we've only talked about trades or All-Star. Like, some quick thoughts on the actual basketball that's being played on the court. The Suns are absolutely elite. They're the best closers in the NBA. Right now, they're my favorites to come out of the Western Conference because they're so good at closing games. Because they have the talent to be in any game against any team in a 7-game series. I don't care who it is, the Warriors, the Nets, the Bucks, whoever. They have the ability and the talent to be in the game in the fourth quarter. They have the ability and talent to be in every game they play. And the Suns are 22-3 in clutch games this season. If you don't know what clutch games that means games decided within 5 points. A game that is within 5 points in the last 5 minutes or overtime. Those are considered clutch moments. And a clutch game would be a game that's decided by less than 5 points. Devin Booker is shooting 67% in the clutch. Chris Paul is shooting 57% in the clutch. They got some of the 2 best closers in the league. Arguably the 2 best closers in the league. Now, granted, if you ask me, the best closer in the league right now for the whole season is probably still DeMar DeRozan. But you see my point. Phoenix are legit, mainly because they close out games so well. Serge, we're going to come back to the 3-point contest. I got to actually pull that up. I was looking at that earlier. I'm keeping my eye on Klay Thompson. I don't know if y'all have been, but I'm keeping my eye on Klay Thompson. He's been playing very, very well as of late. He's only played in 12 games, right? Let's just get that out of the way first. He's only played in 12 games since he's been back. So he's still ramping up. But in his last six, he's averaged 18 points, 4 assists, 48% from the field, 44% from 3. And in the last couple of games I saw him play, he's starting to look more like himself. He's coming off his screens well. He's getting the ball in the post a little bit better. He's playing better defense. He's starting to ramp up. Steve Kerr said they're going to bump his minutes up from the 25 that he was doing up to 30 now. So he's starting to get involved more into Warriors basketball. And I want to say the Warriors are they're definitely on a streak. I just can't remember how big the streak is off the top of my head. Warriors, 9-game win streak. So I'm not saying Klay's like all the way back, but he's warming up for sure. Next, real quick, I did see it in the comments way earlier, talk about the Lakers situation. Just real quick, we touched on it. I touched on it a little bit. Mario called in. Lakers right? I was talking about boys earlier today. Everyone wants to say Russell Westbrook is the scapegoat. Everyone wants to talk about Russ's inefficiency, his turnovers. I'm just going to say this. If your main gripe with Russ is his inefficiency, is his turnovers, then I'm just going to say you haven't watched Russ. You ain't watched him all season. All his career, because he's not a great shooter. He's never been a great shooter. If you literally pull up his basketball reference page and you look at his, we'll do it right now, and you look at his career averages, right? No. That's not the button I want to do. I was trying to zoom in. I'll be remembering how to zoom, but then I forget, and then it don't work, and then I be mad at myself. Nope. There we go. One day I did not mean to zoom in that much. Golly. Can y'all see that? How that look when you go in? All right. So real quick, if we just look at this season, Russell Westbrook, 29% from three. Now, granted, that is abysmal. I will agree. But, what is this? The 15-16 year. 29% from three. 29% from three. 29% from three. 29% from three. 25% from three. You see all these all-stars? Remember when he got his MVP? Russ isn't a shooter. So, in my opinion, I say this, right? You're right. Let's look at his field goals. 43%. Oh, look at this. 43%. 42%. 45%, 42%, 44%. These are Russ's prime years. This is when everybody was loving Russ, especially the first triple-double season, the MVP season. Like, come on. This is what Russ is. This is who he is. This is what he does. Now, my suggestion for everyone who wants to hate on Russ, maybe let's not hate on him, right? Him, per se. Because if you ask me, Russ is just continuing to be Russ. Now, if you're not a Russ fan, if you don't like his game, if you haven't liked his game throughout his whole career, that's a different conversation. But I said it at the beginning of the season. When the Lakers don't work, everyone's going to blame Russ. Russ is just going to be doing Russ. But it's not Russ's fault. He's being Russ. If you want to blame anybody for the Lakers situation, blame their front office. Don't blame Russ. They should have never traded for him in the first place. All right. Off my Lakers Russell Westbrook soapbox. If you can't tell, I'm a big Russ fan, if it wasn't obvious just now. Positive note for the Lakers. Anthony Davis is back. He's playing really well. I'm liking what I'm seeing in his last couple of games. He's looked good since he's come back from his injury. I had it pulled up earlier. Let me see if I can find it. I want to say over his last X amount of games, he had been playing very, very well. Over his last five games, 27 points, 58% from the field, 20% from three. Now, the 20% from three, don't jump at it too much. He's literally only shot 5 threes over these last 5 games. And to be honest with you, I love that. Anthony Davis was never a crazy shooter or a crazy floor stretcher that I think so many people wanted him to be, at least not all the way out to the 3-point line. His mid-range is automatic. But so many people wanted him to be this amazing 3-point shooter, and that's just not him. I think that's what, I don't know. I don't know if that was Lakers propaganda or what, but that's in my opinion, at least, that's just not him. That was my quick hits. Serge asked about my opinion on the 3-point contest. I did want to touch on that, so thank you for reminding me. I'm just going to pull this up real quick so we can quickly see who's in the 3-point contest this year. Desmond Bane, Luke Kennard, Zach LaVine, CJ, Patty Mills, Karl-Anthony Towns, Fred VanVleet, Trae Young. Honestly, so my theories on 3-point contests, unless it's like an OD elite shooter in there like Steph Curry, I usually lean towards the guy who's used to being a catch and shoot guy, because it's not the exact same, but the emotion of grabbing the ball off the rack feels more like a catch and shoot situation than a dribble size up 3 situation. So my pick, Luka said it. Initially, when I saw the list, I was leaning towards a Patty Mills type guy. Initially, I like Luke Kennard. I like Desmond Bane. Those 3. If I had to pick a real pick, it'd probably be either Desmond Bane and Luke Kennard. If I'm being realistic, like I said, when you have a guy who has the potential to be a crazy shooter in the list, Trae Young could also win it. But if you're going to make me pick one person who I hope and wish my pick to win, give me Desmond Bane. Also, real quick, can we just real quick talk about the dunk contest? Am I hating to say I'm not excited for this dunk contest? Like, they announced the names. I'm not excited at all. Juan Toscano Anderson, Cole Anthony, Jalen Green, Obi Toppin. Like, these guys are athletic. Yeah. In my opinion, this should be Jalen Green's to win, to lose. Like, Cole Anthony, Juan Toscano Anderson, like, they're athletic guys, but I don't know. I would have loved to see bigger names in the dunk contest. I feel like we've gotten away from big names in the dunk contest. The last big name I think we really had in dunk contest would have been Zach LaVine. And that was before everyone really considered him a big name. If you were like a fan of, like a real fan, you understood he was a hooper. But there were a lot of people who were like, he's just the empty stats guy. So he wasn't even really universally loved, even at the time when he was in the dunk contest. I'm not in love with this dunk contest this year, though. I'm gonna watch it, but I'm not in love. Serge says, I think so many bigs like Davis are concerned on shooting, they forget what they do best. On shooting the three, he means. He said. I don't think you're wrong, bro. I think that was a big part of the reason why Anthony Davis took so much heat earlier in the season, because he was shooting so many threes and he was missing them. He was missing a lot. And it was bringing down his field goal percentage, and everybody started looking at his field goal percentage like, what is going on? Everyone's looking at his three-point percentage like, what is going on? And just like I said about Russell Westbrook, I think a lot of people weren't really fans of Anthony Davis before he came to the Lakers and won that chip in the bubble. Because in the bubble, yeah, admittedly, he was shooting great, but the whole league was shooting great in the bubble. It was a different atmosphere. But he was never a great three-point shooter with the Pelicans either. But you know what he is great at? Dominating in the paint. And since he's decided to dominate in the paint, he's playing amazing. But that's all I have on the docket for today, guys. I appreciate y'all so much for pulling up. We've been on here for an hour 12. Like I said, this is definitely the longest show we've had with the most callers, the most chat interaction. So I appreciate it. Appreciate the growth. Appreciate for y'all rocking with the kid. We will see y'all next Wednesday. And if you haven't yet, leave a like. It's much appreciated. If you're not subscribed, obviously, please subscribe. And if you don't follow me on other platforms, what are you doing? TikTok, Instagram, here, obviously. Especially if you don't see my shorts. If you don't see the shorts on YouTube, like if you don't watch YouTube shorts and you want to see more of my content, you want to know my opinions on stuff, follow me on Instagram or TikTok. That's where I post shorter videos, 60 seconds, quick, hot takes, whatever. Thanks for pulling up. See you guys next Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern. I'm out of here. Peace.